She was sick for 3 years. Doctors ran every test, and found nothing. But the moment she stepped into a temple, she collapsed, crying, like something inside her finally woke up. What is Kandang? Why some people feel sick, lost, and spiritually unsettled until they step into a temple. In Vietnam, there is a belief that some people are born with a special spiritual destiny, one that they cannot easily escape, ignore, or fully explain. This belief is called Kandang. To outsiders, it may sound mysterious, even unsettling. But to many Vietnamese people, it is a deeply rooted part of cultural and spiritual life, especially within the tradition known as the Mother Goddess religion. So what exactly is Kandang? Why do some people who are said to have can experience unexplained illness, emotional instability, financial loss, and a sense of being out of control? And why do they often break down, crying, kneeling, even dancing, when they enter sacred temples? Let's explore this phenomenon from both cultural and psychological perspectives, in a way that makes sense to a modern American audience. 1. Understanding Kandang in simple terms. The phrase Kandang doesn't translate directly into English, but we can think of it as backhand index pointing right, a spiritual calling or destiny to serve as a medium between humans and the spirit world. In Vietnamese belief, especially in the Mother Goddess tradition, there exists a spiritual realm populated by divine figures, gods, goddesses, mandarins, princesses, and spirits who govern different aspects of life. A person with Kandang is believed to have a connection, or even an obligation, to serve these spiritual beings. They are not just believers. They are chosen. 2. The role of a medium, spirit channel. In Western terms, someone with Kandang might be compared to a spiritual medium, a channeler, or even a mystic. But in Vietnam, the role is more structured and ceremonial. These individuals may eventually participate in rituals called Len Dong, spirit possession ceremonies, where they enter trance-like states, receive spiritual entities, perform dances, gestures, and blessings, act as a bridge between the spiritual and physical worlds. However, not everyone who has can immediately accepts this path. And that's where the struggle begins. 3. The calling that won't go away. According to traditional belief, if a person has Kandang but refuses or ignores it, they may experience what is called backhand index pointing right, being disturbed, or spiritually pressured. This is often described as the spirits trying to get their attention. And the symptoms can be intense. 4. Why do they get sick, but doctors find nothing? One of the most commonly reported signs is backhand index pointing right, chronic illness with no clear medical diagnosis. People may experience persistent fatigue, headaches or body pain, insomnia, sudden weakness, a general sense of being unwell. They go to hospitals. They run tests. Everything comes back normal. From a spiritual perspective, this is interpreted as backhand index pointing right, the soul being out of alignment with its spiritual destiny. The body reacts, but medicine can't detect the cause. A psychological interpretation. From a modern scientific standpoint, these symptoms could be linked to anxiety disorders, psychosomatic conditions, real physical symptoms caused by stress, chronic stress or burnout, depression. When the mind is overwhelmed, the body often speaks. And sometimes, it speaks loudly. 5. Financial loss and life instability. Another frequently mentioned pattern is backhand index pointing right, repeated failure in business or personal life. People describe losing money unexpectedly, business ventures collapsing, relationships becoming unstable, feeling like nothing works no matter how hard they try. In spiritual belief, this is often seen as Backhand index pointing right, a form of pressure to push the person toward accepting their calling. In other words, you are meant for something else. Until you accept it, your life will not flow. A rational perspective. Of course, life setbacks happen to everyone. But when someone already feels lost or anxious, they may make impulsive decisions, lose focus, become emotionally reactive, which can lead to real-world consequences. 6. Feeling like a stranger in your own body. Perhaps the most disturbing experience reported is this. Backhand index pointing right, a sense of not being in control of oneself. People describe sudden emotional swings, uncontrollable crying, feeling like someone else is inside, losing awareness during certain moments. In traditional belief, this may be interpreted as backhand index pointing right, spiritual influence or partial possession. Psychological view. Modern psychology might describe this as dissociation, emotional overwhelm, trauma-related responses. It's the brain's way of coping when reality feels too intense. 7. The temple experience. Why do they cry, kneel, and dance? Now comes the most striking part. When these individuals visit temples or sacred shrines, something powerful often happens. They may suddenly burst into tears, kneel down without planning to, feel an overwhelming urge to pray, enter trance-like states, move or dance in ways they don't consciously control. To an outsider, it can look shocking. But to believers, it is deeply meaningful. Spiritual explanation. Temples are considered places where the spiritual world is closer and more active. For someone with Kendang backhand index pointing right, it's like finally tuning into the right frequency. The emotional release, crying, kneeling, is seen as letting go of spiritual burdens, reconnecting with divine energy, answering the call. The dancing, especially in formal rituals, is believed to be backhand index pointing right, the presence of spiritual entities expressing themselves through the medium. Psychological explanation. From a scientific viewpoint, temples create a powerful environment. Incense and lighting, music and chanting, collective belief, emotional expectation. All of this can induce backhand index pointing right, altered states of consciousness. Similar to meditation, hypnosis, religious ecstasy. In this state, people may release suppressed emotions, act in symbolic or ritualistic ways, feel deeply connected to something larger than themselves. 8. The turning point, acceptance. In Vietnamese belief, when a person finally accepts their Kendang, often by undergoing a formal initiation ritual, something changes. People report improved health, emotional stability, better luck in life, a sense of peace. It's as if backhand index pointing right, their internal conflict has been resolved. Why this happens, psychologically. Acceptance can be powerful. When someone finds meaning in their suffering, joins a supportive community, gains a structured identity, their mental and emotional state often improves. In other words, backhand index pointing right, the healing may come not from the ritual itself, but from what it represents. 9. Belief versus reality, finding balance. So, is Kendang real? The answer depends on perspective. Spiritually, it is a sacred calling. Culturally, it is a respected tradition. Psychologically, it can be understood as a complex human response to stress, identity, and belief. These views don't have to cancel each other out. They can coexist. 10. A word of caution. While this belief can offer meaning and healing, it's important to approach it carefully. Not every illness is spiritual. Not every struggle is a calling. Blind belief can lead to financial exploitation, emotional dependence, avoidance of real medical care. If someone is suffering, they should backhand index pointing right seek both medical and psychological support. Backhand index pointing right and explore spirituality in a grounded, informed way. Final thoughts. Kendong is not just about spirits or rituals. It's about something deeply human. Backhand index pointing right the search for meaning. Backhand index pointing right the struggle with unseen forces, whether spiritual or psychological. Backhand index pointing right the desire to feel whole again. For some, the answer lies in faith. For others, in science. But for many, it lies somewhere in between. Because sometimes, what we call mystery is simply the part of ourselves we don't yet understand. Backhand index pointing right if you enjoy discovering hidden stories from Vietnam. Thumbs up like this video. Bell subscribe to Hidden Vietnam Ways. Speech balloon comment your thoughts or experiences below.
Chiếc thuyền rồng chèo bơi bến ngọc dọc con sông.